you
You
treat
trying
a
to
man on his
steal all
birthday?
my guys.
This
Right,
is unbelievable.
You're supposed to be giving me gifts, not stealing
exactly,
from me.
Brew.
Golly.
We start with the Cowboys losing. A little bit of a comeback, little garbage time
Oh, stop.
Dak action, but he likes it. He likes to compile the numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
That actually,
That's exactly
we'll talk
right.
about it.
Don't that actually?
I think
during
he
the news-
fooled
Go
Nick.
ahead.
He fooled Nick.
I think I may have had too much coffee before the
I
show.
think so, man.
Dak has another multiple
something in
interception
there,
game, but also throws multiple touchdowns. Here he is post game.
We know what it takes in this league. You get hot, you can get rolling, and that's all you're looking to do. So that's my point about this. Is frustrating, but nobody's given up. Nobody's been as shook as you can say from where we're at. We just got to focus up, get ready to go on the road, and got another good team coming up, and do whatever we can to make sure we come out of victory, get even, and then we'll worry about after that.
Okay.
I guess so. Brew, what grade are you giving the Cowboys?
Well, let me start by saying this. I wish Dak was as impressive on the field as he is at the podium. He's great. I mean, he is phenomenal at the press conference, all right? Let me start by saying this. I'm not fooled, as some are, by the final score. Oh, they only lost by 6.
Exactly.
It was essentially over at the end of the third quarter when
Correct.
San Francisco went up 27-10.
Yep.
Now, they went soft on it, and I'll get to that. All right, Nick apparently was fooled.
No,
I'm
I think I
seeing the
just
look on your face.
I
mean, they did have a
I think
legitimate
the
chance to
harshest
win because
criticism
it got crazy.
of Dak is what happened at the very end of the game because they could have won. But so
okay.
that's what, I don't think it was nonsense because they did have a chance.
They
to
had
win.
a chance, but it was
legitimate
like,
chance.
Yeah,
but
like,
go ahead. I understand what you're saying.
Right. Dak, I am also not fooled by his numbers. Because weeks from now, months from now, years from now, people will look at the box score and say, Dak, 250 yards, essentially 2 touchdowns. It wasn't on Dak. I mean, he wasn't great. He threw 2 picks, but it wasn't on Dak.
I hope
if
years
you watch
from now,
the
people aren't
game,
breaking this game down.
hey, if you watch the game, what Dak did is what he has done for years. When the game is really in the balance and it's early and your team is getting behind, you're looking terrible. You're throwing picks, you got 3 and outs, you're not scoring. And then when the other team gets up big and they go a little softer on defense, not a full prevent sometimes, but not a full prevent for the most part, but just softer, Dak starts racking up the yards and even the touchdowns. And at the end of the day, you look at the box score and say, Dak was pretty good. Fooled by that, all right? Because Dak wasn't very good. The defense wasn't good either. Brock Purdy, they had him looking like Lamar Jackson. He ran for 56 yards. That's equal to what the Cowboys did.
Yes.
Tony Pollard, anyone? Y'all rip me when I bring up Tony Pollard. My goodness, could they use some Tony Pollard down in Dallas? All right, so here we go. As I pondered what grade I wanted to give the Cowboys, initially I thought maybe a D, maybe even like a C minus. But then I looked at the context. You coming off a bye week, all right? San Francisco's just as banged up, if not more, as you. And this was a grudge match, a revenge game even for the Cowboys. So I said, I can't give them a passing grade. And as you mentioned, Wilds, it's my birthday. I didn't want to make a big deal out of this. But what's the best way? There's no better way to celebrate a birthday than with a cake. So here's the grade. And I can't wait to dig into this F cake.
Why?
Because the Cowboys brought their F cake, F game to the game, and I brought an F cake.
I mean, it's wonderful. Before you dig into the cake, there are thumbtacks on it.
Also, so this is unfortunate for a number of reasons.
Cake.
So I'm fine with that grade, and I'll give my answer in a moment. But
This is so silly.
I lied.
That's what it is.
Brew, I lied at the beginning of the show.
Oh.
I did know today was your birthday, and I planned at the end of the show to give you a cake of my own, and now you've spoiled it. I had this sitting here the whole time, ready and waiting for you. This cowboy brew. I thought you'd love
at least
it.
you got my
and
picture,
now,
right? At least you got
and
the
now
picture,
it
right?
feels like
The shape of the.
It's
What
in the
is
state
that?
of. It's the state
That's
of
the state of Texas?
Texas. Yeah.
Wow.
I got him a whole cowboy brew cake, and now it's just it doesn't quite
It
work.
is me.
All right, so here's the deal. The final drive, which in my opinion you glossed over a bit, was the biggest indictment. The final drive is why I advocated for the Cowboys to wait on paying Dak Prescott.
Go.
Because a lot of what Bruce said is correct. That early in the game, Dak looked shaky when the Niners were putting it on them in the third quarter, and it seemed like had won the game in that third quarter. Dak was eyes wide like in the playoff game. But then Purdy almost threw that pick six on the play. They were up 17, the ball got batted down, and the guy would have had it right there.
Yeah.
And that could have flipped the game, but it kind of seemed like that moment gave the Cowboys a bit of life because all of a sudden they score, and it's like, oh, wait, now it's a 6-point game, and if they get a stop, and they get the stop, and Dak immediately goes to how he was playing when the game was inbounds before. Very first play of that drive, it would have thrown a pick to Diamador Lenore, but Fred Warner tips it because he doesn't know he's behind him.
He threw it to like three
He
Niners.
threw it to three Niners, and so that to me is the worst part, is that Dak was mediocre early, then bad. And then, you're right, pressure off a little bit, defense a little softer, start feeding CD and you're cooking, and then the moment the stakes are back to something real, holy bleep, we drive the field and score, we steal this game. It was the perfect scenario. Down 6 with the ball, you're compliment, like everything you could have asked for, plenty of time, more than 2 minutes left, and it immediately goes 4 and out. And so I agree with you, Brew. And the Cowboys, so there's two pieces of this quickly. One is Dak this year to last year. Last year, almost wins MVP, has a career year. This year, quite the opposite. We can show you those numbers, I think, but what you're going to see is a player who reverted back to all of his worst tendencies, as far as the yards per pass being lower, the completion percentage being significantly lower, and the touchdown interception ratio going from 4-1 to basically 1-1, 1.25 to 1.
Yeah.
And then here's the other part about the Cowboys as a whole, Wilds. They get blasted. And you're right, they come back. In the Ravens game, that was a real comeback in that they did have a chance. Like Ravens
Even
in
though
third.
you can blame the other
yes,
team,
this game they really had a chance. But it doesn't change the fact that how many games this year have you been trailing by more than 2 scores? 17 plus. Here's the full list of teams who have done it more than 3 times. It is the Dallas Cowboys. I think we can show it to you, and the Carolina Panthers. That's it. Panthers doing it 7 times, by the way. Yikes. But by the way, if this list was 3+ times, the only teams we add to it are New Orleans, the Jets, the Titans, the Dolphins, New England, and Vegas. All 1 or 2 win teams.
Yep.
Those are the teams. So the Cowboys just get blasted repeatedly, dig themselves in this big hole, and Dak's been a big part of it. And so I don't think the Niners that were on the field last night are a great team. They might be by the end of the year.
Look amazing.
Right. And so there's no excuse for that, to your point, to just in the third quarter get rolled out of the stadium.
Yep.
There isn't.
On the other side of the ball, Brock had a good game in the third quarter alone. San Francisco gets to 500 going into their bye and maybe get CMC back. Here's Trent Williams.
We're a confident team. You know, we know that we haven't played up to our standard that many times in these first 8 games. So, you know, I don't think that we like looking at this game to draw a bunch of confidence, some newfound confidence. I just think when we can run the ball effectively, not turn it over, I think the results today is kind of what we can expect.
Hello, running the ball. Purdy last night, pretty good, Brew. Go to that bottom line, 7 for 7, 140 total yards, 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, which kind of broke the game open. Were you impressed with? Oh no, is your faith restored if it ever wavered.
Well, look, you saw that quote by Trent Williams. It was measured. And I think any fan of the Niners, she should be measured. Like, they look like what I thought they were this season. Probably a playoff team. I think they'll be a playoff team, but I mean, they got a tough schedule ahead of them. And their division, what helps them is Seattle lost, and the division is all jam-packed. And the Rams now are healthy, so they're going to make some noise. But I don't think they're like the best teams right now, I think, in the NFC are Detroit, and then I'd say Green Bay. I don't know if
Washington
you want to
deserves credit.
Yeah, and I put now San Francisco healthy. We'll see what they look like if they get McCaffrey back. They're going into a bye week, which is good for them. If you get McCaffrey back, Jawan Jennings wasn't even there yesterday, so you get him back. I mean, I don't think they win the NFC.
What it's been
not what it was.
Any of the years they made deep playoff runs.
No.
Like, we can argue about Purdy later in the show. Purdy, by the way, played well yesterday objectively. I thought at the very end of the game he had a few mistakes, but over the course of the game I thought he played really well. And I agree with you. The escapability stuff is who was it on?
Doing great.
Collinsworth said it yesterday. He didn't say this.